And welcome back, and we're moving into our second segment for the morning. Then again, yet again, another very important topic, Diabetes Association of Belize and foot care tips, very important. In with us actually is Barbara Johnson, who is a cosmetologist. She's right here with us, looking beautiful. And of course, Ronald Stuart, representative of Belize Diabetes Association. Like the color, it's very good. Guys, good morning, welcome, and it's so nice to have you.
Thank you, good morning.
Dear to us, like I mentioned, foot care and tips. We've heard so many times of family members losing limbs, people losing limbs because they don't know the proper care, what to do, how to do, probably not thought what to do. But let's jump on into the Belize Diabetes Association and of course some of the works that's going on as we speak.
Good morning again. We continue to be involved with spreading awareness. You know, there are so many complications that could arise from when one develops diabetes, and it is important for the viewership to understand that we need to be proactive in everything that we do. Yeah. You don't really wait until you start losing your health before you decide, okay, I will do something about it. And so one of our primary objectives is to try and increase awareness across the population, all age groups, to know the right choices to make so that we have the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. You know, proper nutrition, physical activity, adequate consumption of water, and resting, sleep. And once we make those choices, and we make them every day, because where nutrition is concerned, you know, every time we select some meal to eat or food to eat, that contributes or could take away from our health, and it does so incrementally. So we need to make those choices and ensure that if we are predisposed in the sense to develop the condition, you know, diabetes, because we may have it in our genes, we inherited it from either our grandparents or parents, it doesn't necessarily mean that one has to develop it as well, or they could delay the onset simply by the choices that they make from the healthy lifestyle that we practice. And it is important for us to recognize we can never quantify the value of our health, but we certainly know when we start losing it how much it costs, both in terms of quality and in terms of the healthcare costs that is involved. So we need to be mindful that once we do make those choices, it's going to be beneficial all around, not only for ourselves. This year our theme is the family and diabetes. And why that particular theme is, if there's one member of a family that develops diabetes, it affects the entire family. Yeah. You know, because whether it's the care that becomes necessary if that person does not have the same level of productivity, or if they are not able to be productive again, how that impacts the family. So it's for those and so many other reasons that we try to get persons to understand, increase their level of awareness of what we can do to avoid the condition.
Are we doing enough? And the reason why I'm saying this, especially from the standpoint of the Belize Diabetes Association, which is just basically we're just volunteering to try and help people. What are we seeing much more in terms of cases? Because people we're still not eating the right way. I'm not sure if because we were brought up eating these things, or we're not mindful of what we're consuming because our body just wants that particular food or those particular foods.
You know, it starts, the perspective that I have, and particularly being associated in other ways with other individuals, that really nutrition begins from a woman is pregnant, or when she's thinking about becoming pregnant. To start practice proper nutrition, you do that, it's a more healthy environment for the child, supported by all the members of the family. And then when the child is born, the whole process of breastfeeding and the proper foods. So that it is a responsibility that families have. And it's not I've said on occasions in conversations with persons, I said, listen, if you are the one who are providing the food for your household, don't tell me my child will not eat a particular thing because they want something else. I say, who's buying the food? And we need to make that sort of choice where we won't buy quote unquote junk food, the chips and the biscuits and the soft drinks and so on, because it's not going to be beneficial. We cannot preach one thing and practice something else, because you know it's unfortunate when persons develop complications of this disease, but it's something that doesn't happen by itself. We have to make those choices.
Now, I want to take a little spin on this, and Ms. Bar, please feel free to jump in, because I saw you pulled out something, what is a serving? Very often we vilify certain things, and if you have your comfort food, I'm sorry, I love pigtail, you know, I'm going to eat it. It's how much I eat that is important, right? And there are certain things that are a part of our culture, and I'm talking Belizean culture collectively, that we consume, but it's the portion or lack of a portion selection that we actually, you know, people want heaping servings of, you know, rice and meat, and you eat half a chicken, some people at one sit down, and you know, and a pound of rice if you give them, and all of that. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, how we can actually, you know, retrain people to understand that, you know, a cup of rice means, you know, a serving should be
what can fit in the palm of your hand, as anything that can fit. And we can eat from any food, but the quantity that we eat. When one doctor told me, you like to eat a half pack of bread, he said you need to eat a maximum of 2 slices. Ooh. He was visiting with me. I was not in his office. So I said, doctor, you crazy? He said, madam, you will see. And over the years, being diabetic for 34 years, I have learned to eat 2 slices of bread.
2 slices?
2 slices of bread
Oof,
at a meal. Nice. No, but we can have 4 or 5 meals a day. We don't have to pile it up.
Okay.
As many meals as we can, but a little at a time.
And I want to piggyback off your experience, because living with diabetes for 34 years, a lot of people, you know, initially it's a shock, you know, and then to make the transition and actually do the changes. How difficult was it for you, and then for your family? Because now you're the one who will cook, who will decide, will determine, you know, how did you make that transition?
Well, I cook the same thing, same foods that I normally cook, only that I only have small portions. With
the same amount of seasoning and whatnot, so you don't lessen on the sugars, on the salt?
Oh, no, I don't drink sugar anymore. Okay, I stopped drinking sugar.
On your seasoning on your food?
Yes.
So you sprinkle the same amount of salt, but it's just the portion that you lessen on?
Yes, portion size.
You know, John, William, a lot of times you spoke about culture, and food is so much a part of culture. It's very difficult to change what we have learned or been practicing. Because there are some people who think that, take on a Sunday meal, we'll eat rice and beans, as I say, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Potato salad, and then you'll have your protein, your meat. Yes. But then besides that, quite likely you'll have some form of dessert. And then there's some sweetened drink that you'll have. Yeah. So when you start to add up the amount of carbohydrates that is in that food, it's very unbalanced. I was speaking to a high school class recently, and when I told them that half of the plate of food that you're eating should be vegetables, one student said, I don't eat vegetables. I said, in time you'll learn that you should. I said, because a lot of people are of this view. I have more than 3 years now changed the way I've been eating, and I'm seeing the result. I'm still getting there to eliminate, eliminate or at least minimize eating flour or anything made from flour. I would eat rice once for the week. And some people would think, well, how come if you don't eat that and you don't eat this, how are you? I said there are so much more foods that you could eat. Eat a lot more fruits and vegetables. And it's healthier. You don't have any of the fats that comes with some of these other food groups and food products and some. But it takes time, it takes a discipline for us to make those choices. And when I talk with the coach that I've been working with for the past 5 years, he say, nothing motivates you more than results. And when you make choices and you see the results, you'll do more. And so we need to look at it from that perspective. Don't wait. And you get encouragement from others who are doing the same thing. That if you may be struggling, you go to some function and eating and say, okay, we agree we'll not eat any dessert. And drink some water instead and have a conversation about how good it is for us to be healthy rather than somebody who has their health compromised because of choices that they've made. And as I said, it's not easy, but it's not impossible either.
No. Question to you. We know you work out a lot. This man could dance.
Yes.
I swear, he is from 6 to 6. But while we're talking about the food portion and what you consume and so on, if I continue to eat everything that I eat, William mentioned the pigtail, which I think is Belize's national meat. If I continue to eat whatever I want, the portion of how I want, but I work out, I go jogging every day and stuff like that, does this balance things out? Because that's the mindset.
Yeah.
No.
I'll give you a personal example. I remember I've been working out for years.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it like this, I'm working out, I could eat whatever I want. And in a sense, I was sabotaging the achievement of my goals. Because your intake of food and the energy it contains has to be less if you want to lose the stored energy that we have, the 3-letter word that we don't like to hear, FAT. But it's one of those things where once you equip yourself with information and you use that knowledge to inform the choices that we make, it makes it far easier. One of the things I like people I say, thank goodness I'm blessed with good health. And I made a decision 5 years ago when I was at a point where I didn't like and I wasn't getting the results. So I started the coaching that I currently continue to have. And I tell them, I say, on the occasions when I do have to go to the hospital, it would be to visit somebody who I know. That always is a reminder, or it reinforces why I need to continue doing what I'm doing. Because we make choices every day. And you don't really want to say, well, I like this. Yes, I like it. For example, I like eat sweets. But I would say I like ice cream. I would maybe eat ice cream 4 times, 6 times a day maximum. And so somebody told me, say, you know, like that. I say, yes. I say, but you have to have the discipline to only eat it on occasions.
Yes.
The ability to say no to yourself is perhaps one of the biggest disciplines.
It's very big.
But I want to make sure that we don't, while this conversation is great for diabetes, I also want to make sure that we focus on foot care because that's such a critical thing. I've heard recently of a couple of people that I know very well that have had, become amputees as a result of, being diabetic. So let's start talking about why this is so important to a diabetic, foot care. And as a cosmetologist, does it require special training to actually know how to take care of your feet? And if I'm going for a pedicure, what should I look for?
As I said, I'm a cosmetologist and I also did the course in foot care. But what I have observed in the courses that I do in foot care, they wait until you already have an ulcer or your foot have gone bad to help cure it. 18 years ago, I decided I am going to utilize my cosmetology training. So I started a twist in foot care in Belize City. I called it preventative diabetic foot care. I was so sorry to see all those amputees, people with bad toes. So preventative foot care, not foot care. Foot care encompasses more than only preventing. So I started preventative, and I still do voluntary work in some health centers now. So people get it for free. You see?
Now, when you're talking about foot care, because, you know, for example, if I am an older person and I take a shower, you know, it might be difficult for me to actually reach down or dry between my toes or that kind of stuff. That's how gritty I want to take it, because I think sometimes we don't understand that it actually starts there, because you may get a fungal infection in your nail, etc. And sometimes it's just from not drying between your toes properly or something of that sort.
There's an art to drying between your toes. These are your toes. You don't dry them like that. You take the towel and sop, and try to keep them as far from hugging as possible so they can dry. You sop it, pat it, do not rub. Nothing goes between your toe unless it's medicines, because they're always hugged up all day. See?
So just a tap, a dry.
You pat it. That's a simple thing. And each person that we take care of, we give them a list of things that they can do at home. Check your foot every day. If you can't see it, sit down and use a mirror. If you don't have any help, use a mirror to look at your foot and see if you have any blisters, any bruises, or even little cuts, because a lot of diabetics love open shoes, as myself. But that helps the little stones on the street to bruise us or even cut. And we wouldn't feel it now. Then a lot of after you take a bath and you don't dry your feet properly, around the nails, you have the I have none right. Around your nail, you have that crust build up from the soap. If you look at your foot and that gets dry, and over time it gets hard like cement. So you have to keep it away and keep the foot clear. You see? This here, I was only showing how to deal with that, but this is a different type of nails you have. This one, I did an elderly guy where he had this nail and it grew all the way to halfway.
What?
The toe.
Underneath the foot.
And I took time and patience. That's where it goes with the actual pedicure and the preventative foot care. I have trained several people, even doctors, to do it in a delicate way, much more delicate than how they do it in the salon. We are trained just to go cleaning, take off everything and scrub. No, for diabetics, we need to keep diabetics safe. And if there is a lot of buildup of crust, we take off some. Can't take off all because the foot will be left bare and it will hurt. And that's where the salon makes a difference with what I did, what I am doing. That's why I named it preventative diabetic foot care. And after we finish dealing with the foot, we give them a little massage.
Now, you said something that I don't want to miss out on, because you said not being able to feel in your extremities.
Yeah, that's diabetic neuropathy. You lose the sense, because when you have excessive levels of glucose or sugar in our blood, it starts to do damage. It does damage to every single cell in the body. And eventually the nerves get damaged, so you lose a sense of feeling. And so you may step on a stone, you may step on a taps,
don't
whatever.
feel it.
You pick it up, you get your foot cut, you don't know, and eventually an infection starts there. So it's important, even for persons who are not living with diabetes, it's important for us to practice what Barbara has been saying, proper foot care, because while you may not have the additional challenge for slow healing, it's important for us to look at the situation and realize that you may not have diabetes, but you could still develop infections because you get a cut, you walk on something that punctures your skin. You have germs that get into it, and the rest continues to just develop like that. So,
another question I have, because people may not focus on it, is comfortable shoes.
Yes.
You spoke about wearing an open toe, that some people prefer that.
Yes.
But you also need something that is protective, and
Yes.
People may also decide to wear a shoe. It's pretty, it's a pointed toe, it's a this, it's whatever, but it may not be comfortable. How important is it that the shoe be comfortable, and that a simple thing like even changing your socks on a daily basis?
Yes, that's what I when we do foot care, this is what the home care that we give people. But see what happens to our foot when we wear high-heeled shoes. See what happens to the bone, or they are crunched. And I used to love my high heels. And this is what, and regularly using this causes damage to the foot.
you know,
Infirmity.
It changes the posture of the body. You know, first off, foremost, our foot is designed for it to walk on a level. Every time you increase the difference between the heel and the toe, it changes the pressure on your calves, the curvature on your spine. And so it's important for us to recognize that our feet carry the entire weight of our body.
Yes, it
Yes.
does.
And if your foot is not comfortable, you could try and dismiss it or ignore it, but over a period of time, at the end of the day in particular, you say, oh, I'm feeling so tired. It's an accumulation of stress. And there are a lot of persons who have said, you say, yes, I know, but I still are. I say, well, you know, again, it goes back to choice. You may want to look pretty, or you feel that
And feel pretty.
Yes. So it's important for us to recognize that it's not only about looking good, it's about feeling good as well.
good.
And you could avoid so many different complications with your foot, you know, calluses and corn and all of that forming because of improper footwear. You make those choices and you get the benefits from it. So everything that we do really is about choice. And you cannot say, well, I feel like this and I'll do that. Because eventually it accumulates. You know, it's like going back to food. We make right choices every time. We'll get the benefit. We make choices that are less than the best. It will accumulate and we'll see the outcome eventually.
Afterwards.
So foot care is something that is so important. Just imagine we have issues starting to develop with our feet and how that impacts our whole well-being, and the fact that we cannot walk as well as we know we used to be able to do. Simply make changes, or as Barbara is saying, make those choices that is preventative in nature so that you avoid the damage or the injuries, so that you avoid the pain, the discomfort, or in those ultimate situations where somebody may lose a limb for making repeatedly poor choices over a period of time.
Who are we seeing this impact most, males or females? I'd say females, reason being is because they tend to want to probably wear open toe footwear.
Most males do too.
Oh,
Love them. They
slippers.
love them.
So who
Oh,
are we
yes.
seeing?
Both of
There's a
them.
lot of, I don't have data on it, but there's and Barbara will be able to tell you from the persons that she has treated,
Dealt with,
there are men and women who have, and it's more likely that if women wear high heel shoes and they're tight, You know, you see some of these designs where your 5 toes are supposed to fit in a space for 3.
Yes.
And you,
Yes.
you think, oh, well, oh, it looks good.
Right,
But the discomfort that comes with it, you make those choices to say, guess what happened? It's not about, as you said, looking good, but feeling good as well. Because at the end of the day, no matter how well we may feel from, say, above our ankles up, if your feet is not your whole body, because remember, once we are moving, and what is important, the human body was made to move. The more we sit, the weaker it gets. We lose our muscle strength and the ability to move around and do what we need to do. So it's important for us to keep our muscles strong. And remember, the feet carries the entire body where it wants to go, other than when
And
we're swimming.
1.5, its size. It depends what you're carrying. If you are carrying something, your feet are carrying that weight too.
So it's important for us to recognize not only our body weight, because we don't really want to be overweight or obese, because it puts pressures on the feet and the entire body, and how all our organs eventually are affected by it.
Yes.
So it's important for us to recognize all these choices. Yeah, it might look good, but it doesn't necessarily will be good for us. And so on this day, 14th of November, which we are observing as World Diabetes Day,
Yes.
we're having an open house at our office at the corner Central American Boulevard and Mahogany Street,
Yes.
by the roundabout. We were doing free testing, so we're inviting everyone to come out to the office today to get their blood sugar levels checked and get all the other information that we'll be providing, and to understand that the importance of the theme this year that we're using is to focus on the family and how the family is affected by diabetes, even when it's one person. You know, I like to tell people that, you know, because I'm a supporter, I am not living with diabetes, but potentially we could all develop the condition based on
Yes.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
I made a decision 5 years ago that I will try and maintain my health in as optimal a level as possible. So I equipped myself with the knowledge, because someone had asked me, said, well, why is it that you are a part of the association if you're not living with diabetes? I said, there are friends of mine who are. And in order for me to support them to make right choices, I have to have the information and know what is good or not.
Yeah.
And so I continue to be involved. I volunteer with the association, and I've learned a lot. To be able to do that, to make sure that we're able to share the right information, encourage others to make the right choices. Because if I make choices for myself and I benefit from it, I want you to have a similar experience as well. Because a lot of people tend to be dismissive that, I am not interested, or that's not my concern. I say, it may not be now, but it could be later. So just as they say, 20 years ago was the best time to plant a tree, and the next best time is now. Similarly, it's best we take care of our health, not only then, but now.
No.
So
Start
that
now.
the quality of life that we will have
Yes.
will be the best it could be. And it's not something that, you get old and you can't. You could have good health up to.
True. Now, I want to pull back, and before we wrap up for today, to just go, and you have a cheat sheet of sorts to say these are the things that you do to maintain your foot health, right? So you've gone over checking your feet on a daily basis, make sure there are no cuts, no blisters, and if you can't reach your feet, so actually
Use a mirror.
use a mirror or get assistance
Or get-
from someone. You have also this one I like, you know, on a daily basis, kind of soak your feet or get a foot massage. Why is that important?
Because it soothes the skin and it goes the muscles. But a lot of people like to use Epsom salts, and that dries the skin. For soaking purposes, vinegar soothes the skin.
What kind
And
of really?
some shampoo, yes.
What
That's
kind of
what
vinegar?
we use. Vinegar, home vinegar, the one from the kitchen.
You see?
It softens the skin.
So what
So when
portion?
you
is it?
soak it,
Just
1
a little.
tablespoon to your dish.
So
You will
vinegar,
use before.
water, vinegar, and shampoo.
Shampoo. Just soak your feet. And warm water, never
Not
cold
water,
water.
warm water.
Yes.
And I like that. Thoroughly dry between your toes by patting, not rubbing.
Yes.
Right? Use a moisturizer. Now people, I want to say cream, I want to show me ink. Not cream up their skin no more.
You don't have to cream. You could get the ordinary Vaseline, take a little bit on your finger, tap it, and join the tops on your foot. That's all.
Can people use Vicks
You could
Everything.
use that too.
All right.
Just,
Use and
but
use.
you know what? It's greasy that you will fall down.
Cream yourself.
Yeah. You don't
Yes,
have to
man.
get nothing fancy.
You know, you grow up in the
Yeah.
tropics, you're kind of ashy. Yeah.
Get some coconut trasa.
Yes.
That's what we used to use at home.
Yeah.
After they done grate the
Grate the
coconut and
coconut,
strain
yeah.
it, we use that. And that's a beautiful moisturizer.
But I like the caveat that you have here too, that you're not to moisturize between your toes.
Never, because they're hugging up all the time.
Yeah.
And worse if you have on one bad shoes,
Bad shoes,
that got
yeah.
them like that.
5 fit in 3.
Cut nails straight across.
Straight across. And
Let's see that one.
no, I don't have none of that. I don't have none of that.
Okay.
You cut it straight across, and there will be some little edges, and you just file that to smoothness. Otherwise, you will end up. That's what causes us to get
Ingrow.
ingrowing toenail.
I like that. And if you cut it too short too,
Yes.
that could also result.
That exposes the skin, and then that sharp nail can go down,
Down
into the flesh.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know when you cut it too short because it hurts.
Yes.
Every time you stub
And
something.
we don't want diabetics to have undue pain because it could start a bruise.
All right. Wear clean socks daily.
Daily, because you don't know what was in there.
Yeah, your feet sweat.
And
so
you sweat in the
Always keep your feet warm and dry. So if it's raining outside
Make
and
sure-
you splatter in a rain, make sure you
sure.
come home and you dry off your feet and everything.
Wash.
Or the first and wash. And the first opportunity you get too. Because sometimes, you know, you keep your feet wet all day because you're at work or whatever. You have to be careful in terms of your care. It says, shake your shoes and inspect inside before wearing them.
Know why?
Leating
know.
it in there, man.
Sometimes maybe something would fall from your dressing table onto it,
Onto it.
and you
Yeah.
don't know. And that's when Ron talk about tacks. Sometimes even thumbtacks are in your shoes,
Yeah.
and you don't know. And you won't feel it today. Sometimes you don't feel it.
Because
So each time you go to put on your shoes, you shake it out to make sure there's nothing in there.
You know, if you don't grow up that village, you will check for something.
for something,
You
yes,
check to make sure something. Always wear shoes that are not tight.
Yes.
Very important.
that fits comfortably around the ball of
High
the foot.
and no high heel shoes, John.
No, well, I used to love them.
not for harm.
I am guilty. I used to love them until I can't walk with them
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay.
But it is pretty, but it's damaging.
Okay.
Lot of the young gal look on you right now.
No, it's beautiful. I loved it. I used to run in them.
High
Wow.
heel.
But as we go for this preventative thing, I have trained at least almost 200 people.
Wow.
So we have nurses. I train some people in Curzal. We have nurses, we have doctors, and we have anybody who asks for the training. I don't discriminate. We take them on. And whoever is interested can register with the Belize Diabetes Association because they are the ones that certify the training.
Okay.
And the final two, be
Beware.
careful and beware of walking barefooted.
Yes.
Right?
Because we can walk on anything, anytime.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was in my yard and never realized the dogs threw something, and I was walking and almost fell down on a bottle.
Yeah.
You see, so you have to be careful.
And take care of your diabetes and
Yes.
keep the blood glucose controlled.
Yes, sir.
So that's a part of it as well. And I like the final one. You say, remember, your feet take a beating every day. Give them attention and establish your own foot care routine to help keep them healthy
Again,
and
this
pain-free.
calm that I was speaking about you know, from when you bathe and the water comes down,
yeah.
there is a little thing that they call a brush for the foot, for the nails. You can use that, or to be economic, just take your personal old toothbrush, buy a new one and use that. As you're done bathe, you just brush it, so you don't have that build-up.
Take note. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Well, we want to thank you both for joining us, and you said today is being
Yeah.
celebrated,
World
and you can go
So the office
Yes.
is open from 9 this morning until 5 this evening. Corner Central American Boulevard and Mahogany Street at the roundabout. You'll see the tent in the yard. So we'll be doing free glucose testing, and also we'll be sharing information on the condition and lifestyle choices to prevent or delay the onset of diabetes.
All right. Well, Ron, we want to thank you very much for joining us, and Miss B, thank you for sharing your experience as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about a feminist drummer. So we'll be right back after these messages.